Morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good morning. It's my pleasure to tell some of my views on thesis writing and how to register patent and how to get the patent get awarded. Okay, now I think most of you are attending, have completed your coursework. Now you would have started your research work and some of you may be in the thesis writing stage or writing articles, research articles. I will give you some tips how to write the thesis. Maybe I think some other speakers may tell you how to write the articles. So thesis writing, mostly you will start after your research, experimental work or survey, whatever it is, after you complete these procedures. Okay, now you are in the start of writing thesis. Now how to proceed, I will tell you. In the thesis, first part will be some abstract you need to write. That you should not write at the beginning. You should write at the after you complete your conclusion also. So you should start your introduction chapter. Introduction chapter, how it should be. First, overall picture I will give you. Whatever research you carry out, whether it is experimental work or some theoretical analysis work or some marketing survey data, MBA related research, whatever it is, the major objective will be collecting
Thesis writing
and
patent
the data, how you arrive. After that, you are analyzing the data.
Of course,
With the
the
data,
speakers
you are
have
going to
already. There is
infer
a need
something
to have in your
which should be novel.
credentials.
Okay, that is the any research, this component will be there. That is the major component where you should make some difference. You should make some difference. But to make the others to understand, any new person, if you are reading some books, obviously there will be an introduction. That introduction only will make the readers to get attracted, or you are going to create some interest for the examiner. For example, here you are going to attract the examiners or those who are going to read later stage also, they should get some interest in reading your thesis. So for which the introduction should be very, that is creative, or it's not creative. You should give lot of information only. Any people will get attracted with a lot of information. That information which you are going to give initially as if it is known to everyone, slowly you should give some information which are very important and useful to many people. So for which what you should collect in the introduction. Okay, the overall thesis chapter also, first before that I will tell you that any thesis you can write within some 5 chapters. Introduction chapter, literature review chapter, then methodology. After methodology, you can go to results and discussion, or if there are a lot of procedures involved, if you are not able to write everything in the methodology, you can bring one more chapter in between results and discussion. Otherwise, some of you, if the results only, the methodology is not very big, but the results to be discussed are very high, then it's enough. After third chapter, after methodology, you can straight away go to results and discussion. Sometimes you may need one more chapter in between this. Then after results and discussion, it is conclusion. So how many chapters? Normally 5 chapters. Introduction, literature survey, methodology, results and discussion, conclusion. In the introduction part, what is very important? First, you should start with, in that area, in that area, what is the research going on in the international scenario, national scenario, and why you have chosen this subject, this topic of research. All those things you need to collect. First, you need to collect international scenario, national scenario. What is the need for this topic? What is the need for this topic? And why you have chosen this topic? All these are very important. So those things you need to collect. These things are to be collected, and that should be put in the first chapter in an orderly way. PhD thesis writing requires lot of skill to put the things in an orderly way. That if you get to improve your skill, then your life, even your career also will become very successful. Many students I'm seeing, they do not know how to put the things. They will get lot of information, but sometimes that whole information have to be given in some one page. Sometimes it may have to be given in 25 pages, the same information. So when you are asked to give it in 25 pages, how to give, in one page, how to give, in one paragraph also, you should know how to give. Understand? Sometimes in the abstract, when you write the abstract, the same things, whatever you are going to write in the introduction in 25 pages, to be given in one paragraph, because the total abstract itself is some three pages, hardly some 3 to 4 pages. So in that, the essence of introduction to be given in half page. So that skill also you need to improve. So for which many times, whatever in the letter writing, if you, that will improve your writing skill. This thesis writing, if you do, that is without taking any other's help, if you try on your own, will be very helpful throughout your career. Even writing letters, I'm seeing many people, even after writing a thesis, PhD thesis, they are not able to write one-page letter because they haven't written on their own. That is the problem. So if you practice that, it will be very helpful throughout your career. How to put everything in an orderly way. That is what important. Okay, for example, if you are writing introduction, first, sometimes you may have to write why you have chosen. But before that, if you give some international scenario about this research topic, that will give more impact if you give it in the first. So based on the topic, whether to start with the scenario or why you have chosen this topic. Some area, if it is socially relevant project, if it is totally social relevant project, then lot of information about international scenario, national scenario to be given first. But sometimes you cannot give some of the topics if you are mostly in the concept based research, thesis on totally internal physics, chemistry and all, then this scenario you cannot give much. Okay, then you directly you can, that also scenario is, for example, if I'm writing, I'm an energy engineer, any energy related project, first you need to give some 2 or 3 lines about why the whole world now it started towards writing towards energy aspects. If it is environmental related also, you can write same thing. If it is health aspect, after pandemic, why the whole world is looking towards health aspects, then what are all the efforts taken by the whole world. For example, some of the important information, mostly this kind of information will be used by administrators. Whenever any administrators they talk, they will give the latest correct information. But normally those information will not be known to many researchers. The practical data that will attract many people. For example, in the energy, one example I will be telling. In any energy related or food preservation, some agriculture related, any environment related, when you start writing, how it affects the public, what kind of scenario. Now, one small word about 16% of the population of this country has no access to grid electricity. Then people will wonder, is it really true? Because in Tamil Nadu, you are in Tamil Nadu, that kind of scenario is not there. But in most of the northeastern states, many people have no access to electricity. They are all hilly region. Most of the hilly regions, there is no access. They are still living in our olden style. So 16% of the Indian population have no access to electricity. Will you believe? Many of you may not be believing. Then information like 30% of the agricultural products produced in this country are being wasted because of lack of preservation facility. Because once you produce, before it comes to market or from the market, before it reaches the customer, it is getting spoiled. So this information will give importance to work in the preservation area or this even in the agricultural area, that is connecting between the infrastructure requirement in agricultural field, that will give importance. So these tips will give the importance of this project. Like that, some information you should collect in your field of research, that you should give in the beginning. Then the importance of research will be known to the people who are reading the thesis. Understand this? What the two examples, like this, several examples. Some 30% of the electricity generated in the country is being wasted because of long distance transmission lines. Then you need to know why the central, that is power generation in the local, you will know locally you need to generate power. That importance you will know. So this, but information like this, correct information, how much power is being wasted because of long network transmission, that is electricity transmission through long network. This kind of information should come in the beginning to attract people, which is normally not known to any of the common people, those who are not working in the same field. Only that too, many people, researchers will not be collecting this information. These in your field, latest administrators in the US or Europe or even our central government, the administration, what kind of information they have in their website, it will be available. But that also you need to write in the introduction. Then that only will create interest. Okay, whether you are working for the real-time problem or you have taken your own problem or you are solving, that you should give an impression that you are going to tell something about the societal requirement in your thesis. That impression you should create in the first introduction. Then that in that area, how it is evolved, the history also you need to tell. The history, first importance, then history, some history in that area, how it is developed. Then why you have chosen this topic. What is the interest background of selecting this topic of research? Okay, the history required, need a lot of good information required. Then why you have chosen, and then you should come to some diagrammatic representation, some very good that is figures available in the literature. That also you can, but though you are borrowing, you should acknowledge that, because that information only will give good introduction. Even if you borrow this figure from others, you should acknowledge and you should keep it in the thesis. Okay, those things will create interest for the readers, others, to motivate them to read your thesis. Otherwise, even the examiner will struggle why we should read this kind of report. That feel you should avoid. Okay. So at the end of the first chapter, you should tell what is the objective of your research. It need not be specific objective. Your specific objective should be after you complete your literature survey only, you will arrive your specific objective. So don't write your specific objective how, at what mood you start your thesis, that time what was your objective, that you write at the end of the first chapter. So first chapter can be some 20 pages. Normally 20 pages, if you write your first chapter introduction, it will be good. More than that also will not be appreciated. Then you come to your literature survey. In the literature survey, those who have written some review article can write better way. Otherwise, you will not know, because when you write the review article, you would have got certain comments. That will be helpful. But those who would not have written this review article may struggle in putting all the literatures you have collected in this chapter. This chapter, initially itself, you should segregate all the papers you have collected into some 3 or 4 subdivisions. Otherwise, just sometimes you will, whether all the papers you have collected year-wise, if you start writing the thesis, writing the literature review, it will not, some continuity will not be there. Continuity will not be there. Immediately, when you write this literature survey, you should classify your research article. All the research article you have read and article you have collected should be classified. So when you classify this, then again, which is more relevant to your research, that should come at the end. So in the broad aspect, first some classification should be there. Then it should move towards your research, the classification also. So the broad classification also, sometimes the students will classify theoretical work, experimental work. Okay, this is one way. All the theoretical work one and the experimental work one. And among this theoretical work itself, you can classify different types. Okay, so some broad classification, sub-classification also you can do. Then under each sub-classification, some 10 relevant papers if you take. In that, mostly among the sub-classification, if you order with respect to year, then continuity automatically will be there, because research, the very good papers if you take, then there will be a continuity. Year-wise, there will be some improvement. But there may be some small journals, journal articles, which may give whatever which were found in the olden days will be repeated again in the latest article also. So if you collect very good journal articles, then year-wise also in the sub-classification you can do that. So first thing, you need to classify your research article. Then within the classification, if you order with respect to year, automatically it will be giving a correct continuity. Okay, this is the first crude way of. Then again, within the sub-classification, you can create some order based on your the mind. You should apply your mind and you should do it properly. Okay. So in the literature survey, now you understood how it should be presented. Okay, at the end of the literature survey, you need to give specific objective. Specific objective, after you complete your research survey, literature survey only, you will know the specific objectives, because initially you would have started with some objectives, but after literature survey, you would have come to a conclusion. Okay, these are the things already done by some people. So literature gap you would have identified. Am I right? So before writing the objective, you should write literature gap. So initially you have written your objective, first chapter. That objective, after literature survey, there are some gaps. That gaps you should address after the literature survey, immediately after the literature survey. So based on the gap, you should refine your objectives, and that is your specific objectives. Okay, so specific objectives should be written after the literature gap. So literature gap also you should write, address. Okay, then it will be very easy for the examiner to there will be a continuous flow will be there, literature gap. Okay, based on that, you have made some specific objectives. So specific objectives, that is the question. That question is very clear. If the question is very clear means then research is also very easy. So that specific objective, you can even when you do your research itself, you should have confirmed that with a very good experts. Otherwise, there may be some mistakes in your through a thesis. That is, whatever you have found out, later stage, so nobody should point out some mistake. If the question is wrong, obviously the answer also will be wrong. So that you should check when you conduct your research, before you start your research, whether your specific objectives are correct or not. Any researcher, those who are attending here, if you are about to start, then you confirm whether the specific objectives are correct or not. Okay, so now you have completed your, okay, that's after the specific objective, so literature, all the literature to be classified and put it in some sections. So initially itself, you should write the literatures are classified under the following subdivisions. And then you should write 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. In 2.1 itself, sometimes if you need some sub-classification, you do that. Otherwise, it's not required. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, under what title you are doing. Then 2.4 should be the literature gap. Then 2.5 should be specific objectives. Then one more subsection you need to write, that is organization of the thesis. That normally the organization of the thesis, you can also give it in the first chapter, because after completing the thesis, you know how you are organized. Yeah, it's better you give it after the objectives, you give it in the first chapter itself. Organization of the thesis, what you are telling in the first chapter, what is presented in the second chapter, and the methodology, the third chapter, what it tells, all these things. If it is summarized in the initially itself, it will be good. So organization of the thesis, you can write in the first chapter itself. So at the end of the literature survey, literature gap and specific objectives to be written. Okay, specific objectives. Then you are coming to third chapter, thesis writing. Third chapter, it's a methodology. Any work without planning, you cannot complete. So you would have planned properly how to conduct the experimental work, how to conduct the simulation work, how to conduct the survey, whatever be the work, you would have planned. That planning, what you have planned at the start of your research, that should be given in a very good form, so that you should take the examiners also to that level, what you have done exactly at the beginning of your research. That impression you should give in the thesis writing itself. You should write like a story. What some people, if they go for some vacation and then they write some story, means beautifully they will take you to that place. No, the same way you should also explain in a proper continuous. There should be a flow. How you have planned this thesis, planned this research. Sorry, not thesis. Planned your research. That should be given in the methodology. In the methodology, everything, whatever, if it is some theoretical work, that theoretical work, how you have done and how you have brought out the result, data only. Any research, to write the results and discussion, you need data, whatever be the research. Okay, so how you arrived that data only you need to write. How you arrived that data, whether it is experimental data or theoretical data or survey data, anything, the methodology. Mostly whatever I am telling is applicable to any field of engineering. Sometimes maybe literature PhD may be different. But whatever I am telling is applicable for any engineering and technology kind of research. Okay, anything. It can be anything. Because in engineering, without data, you cannot do anything. So the data, how you arrive, that during your planning of research, what you have done to be presented in this third chapter under methodology. Okay, so that sometimes if it is experimental work, the components, what all the things you have procured, all the, so, okay, you can write the experimental setup. Under the experimental setup, total layout you can show. Then within the layout, each and every components you can write separately. Then sensors, measurement sensors, all those things should be come under the experimental setup. Measurements in the experimental setup, overall layout, then each and every components you can tell, then measurement section you can write separately. Understood? So the measurements when
Of
you
course,
write
our speakers,
that the standards,
Madam has
accuracy,
already
and
introduced
error,
best
all
persons
those.
who
So
can
what kind of
motivate
instruments you are
speaker to
using?
listen.
That instruments, what is the maximum? What is the accuracy of that instruments? Because some kind of research requires accuracy in the level of 0.001 that unit. Some research doesn't require. Some few researchers, they don't require that kind of accuracy. Then the accuracy level may be lesser. So the kind of research depending on the kind of accuracy required. So what kind of instruments, measurement you are using it for measurements, all those things should be addressed in the. So very elaborately you can write. Small equipment also, what is that equipment, make, model, and what is the accuracy, all those things you can give. If it is theoretical analysis, some numerical model you are developing, then what is the. But in this thesis, in the thesis, after second chapter, okay, this very important point. Many theses I have seen, sometimes if they are doing some analytical work, if they use some software, in the software, whatever it's written, that they will just borrow it and place it in the third chapter. That you should not do it. That if you want to do it, that should be there in the first chapter only. Because if you want to elaborate about what kind of those things also can be written in the first chapter. First chapter, I told you these objectives, before writing the objectives, need and the international scenario, and whatever tools and all, whatever you have used, that also can be explained in the first chapter. But you should not write in lengthy way, some 4 or 5 pages about that tool. How you use the tool, you can write it in the methodology. But about that tool that was developed by somebody, and these are useful for these things, that kind of things you should not write in the. After third chapter, from the third chapter onwards, you should not write anything from the borrowed thing. It should be, everything should be original writing, your original writing. Otherwise, it will not be appreciated. Understood? When you start first chapter and second chapter, you can borrow many things, but in your own words, because nowadays plagiarism check is also there. There also you should use your own words, but all the matters can be from the others. But from third chapter onwards, nothing should be borrowed. It should be on your own, everything, whatever it is. Okay, so if it is, even if it is a software, how you use that software only you should write. How you use that software only you should write. You should not write about that software which is available in their manual. You should not put it. Okay, if it is a survey related research also, how you plan to get that data, what kind of customers, stakeholders you have used to collect those data. All those data you need to give in the methodology. And at the end of the, okay, it may be experimental setup, which consists of experimental layout and components and instruments, everything you can give. If it is a theoretical analysis also, so what kind of geometry you have taken, or what kind of what is that? That's the region of analysis. If it is something, sometimes, what is the region of analysis? What is your focus of study? And what all the conditions you have imposed on that? What all the conditions you have imposed on that? Sometimes it is inlet condition, boundary conditions, initial conditions, all those conditions you can give. That and all mathematically, you have to write all those conditions you can impose on that. And those things you need to write in the theoretical modeling. Sometimes in the thesis, there will be experimental work as well, theoretical work, and validation will be there. So where the importance is more, that you can give it at the beginning. Sometimes your experimental work is 60% and the modeling is 30% means you can write experimental work first and modeling. But in the modeling, when you write, if you have some validation, how you have validated also, you can write. But most where the importance is more, that you should give first, because in your research part only 10% is the mathematical work, means that you should not write it in the beginning. That you should write it in the end only. Initially, you should write the experimental setup and other things. Otherwise, they will the examiner immediately, they should not think some work they have done, but there is no, that is hardcore. The methodology they cannot find. They will find it is something surface level. It is done. That kind of impression you should not create in the methodology. They should not think in the surface level only the research is there. In-depth research is not there. That kind of first-hand information, if you are that is if they get that impression, then later part also they will not appreciate. So in the methodology, when you write, where you have concentrated more, that should be given in the first. Okay. Otherwise, that impression for the examiners will go, and that results and discussion also will not be appreciated later. Okay. At the end of the methodology, this is very, very important. Okay. Data analysis, because any research, engineering research means you will come out with some data. Am I right? You will come out with some data. That data, how you are going to analyze and interpret the data, for which some procedure you will use, some formula, some kind of algorithm you will use to arrive, because any research, finally, you will be discussing with some variable. That variable, sometimes it will be the primary variable. Sometimes it will be with reference to, most of the discussions will be with reference to dependent variable also. The dependent variable or derived variable, not the dependent variable, sorry. Primary variable and derived variable. The derived variable is based on the primary data you obtained from your experimental setup or theoretical analysis. You will bring some derived variable for which you will be using the formula. Am I right? Clear? Primary variable will be there and a derived variable. To arrive the derived variable, you need some in between, some formula. That formula to be given clearly in the data analysis. That is what data analysis. So if you, then they will know, okay, using this formula only, they have got this derived variable. That will be discussed in the results and discussion. So now are you clear about the methodology? In the methodology, what is there? Initially, the setup, experimental setup, components, measurements, what all the instruments you have used, the accuracy of the instruments, all those you are giving. If it is a theoretical, what is the region of analysis or statement of the problem? Sometimes you will take a region of analysis, or the problems to be, the statement of the problem to be given very clearly. Then there, what all the conditions you are imposing, various conditions, within that boundary only you are going to work, that boundary to be specified correctly, and what all the other properties to be given, input to be given, all those things are to be clearly given. Then data analysis, what all the dependent variable from the primary variable. Okay, the dependent variable in mathematical formula means that you will call it as dependent variable. And here you can call it as primary variable, derived variable. The primary variable you will get from something. From the primary variable, how you get the derived variable, for which formula will be there. All those formulas to be given clearly, and with all notations, everything you need to give in the end of data analysis. Okay. Then in the fourth chapter, you are coming results and discussion. Results and discussion. Now in the results and discussion, sometimes if it is experimental work and numerical work or theoretical work, both will be there. That you can go any number of works you would have done. Sometimes some parallel work people would have done. The same thing they would have repeated many different kind of objects, and they would have done. So parallel work, 5 work, some mathematics department I have seen, they are taking different problem and they are consolidating. Still, you can put it in one chapter, that is 4.1. Initially, you should write this. This section contains how you are presenting your results under various subdivisions. That you should write clearly in the beginning of this chapter. Then you should start writing the section wise. You need to write section wise 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, experimental investigation, theoretical investigation. Under this, every subtitle. So here, the most important thing is, first you need to explain about the primary variable. Primary variable, how you got with respect to primary variable, how your results are varying, everything you need to represent. The most important thing you need to, that is view here is, in one figure itself, lot of information to be given. Then only it will be appreciated by the very good researchers. Very good researchers. In one figure itself, lot of information. You don't give 100 figures in one chapter. All the 100 chapter, if you apply your mind, you can give it in some 20 figures. 20 figures. So how to bring a lot of information in one graph, some X, Y, Z, all these, because any page you cannot give 4 dimensions, 3 dimensions only, one X axis, Y axis, Z axis, all the axes should be used. And there are various parameters of interest. All those things should be given with the beautiful colors or beautiful symbols and the figure insert, all the information. Nothing, when they try to understand, whatever you are writing also should be available in the figure itself. In the title itself, you should give very clearly, and notations and x-axis, what is it, unit, and figure insert, what it represents, everything. If you give clearly, very good researchers, on seeing the figure itself, they can understand you have done a very beautiful work. Okay, so creating this, that requires very good understanding about this inner feature. That is why in the induction program for this semester, I requested all the new researchers to participate in one of the program given by Microsoft. Microsoft is now offering courses to all our engineering college students in the 3rd semester on professional development. They are going to teach Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. All these things, all the good inner features, if you know, then you can give some colors to your research. Otherwise, you cannot attract the people, attract the others. So this is also very important. All the researchers should improve your skills in Excel or a different origin or any kind of software where you can present your results in a beautiful way. All the features you should understand. Just XY, how to plot that is not sufficient. All the features, even you can give your graph in a dynamic way. So those lot of things in the presentation, during your presentation, but in the thesis, to what extent you can present it very nicely. Like that for the Viva presentation and all, the PowerPoint presentation should be impactful. Then only everybody will appreciate. For which you should know how to use this Microsoft PowerPoint in an efficient way. Okay, for which now we are offering one course to all the 3rd semester students of engineering. So you can also attend by taking permission through your research. I will make arrangements for all the participants, all the research scholars of Anna University also to attend this program. Okay, that if you are powerful in that, writing that results and discussion presentation will be very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Okay, there are lots of things how to summarize the results in a beautiful way, for which, because I'm taking a lot of time. So this, what is that? In short, what I can tell, in writing this results and discussion time, you again read and again read very good papers written by pioneering researchers in your field. Those people's results and discussion, now if you read, you can understand, because after you get the data, your mind also will work then how they interpreted that and how your values are different from them, then what else you can, then you will get some new invention. That point only it will come. So I request all the research scholars to read the good journal papers in your field of research at the time of writing the results and discussion. Maybe these things you would have, okay, these things you should have done it during the time of writing the research article. Now you cannot write because after finishing that only you will come that. But still during thesis writing also, if you again start doing, new information will come. The results and discussion, how you write in the research article, that is very much required. Reading the pioneering researchers article and how they are presenting their results and what all the sentence. But you can, after reading that, you can write on your own. Then only in the plagiarism check, nothing will be there. Don't repeat the same words. Okay, based on your data, you try to interpret. So inferences. So in the results and discussion part, there are two things. Very good journals like Nature article, if you start writing, their requirement will be this experimental setup. All these things will become part of annexure. Only they will ask discussion results one, discussion one. The results are different, inferences are different. The most of the Nature article, if you start writing, they will ask for inferences. So just telling their results, discussion and inferences are different. So the discussion part, so in any figure, if you write, first one small, some 5 lines, you can write what you have drawn and how it increases, decreases, all those things. Then from that, what you infer, that should be discussed elaborately. So that part you can enhance to a larger extent by reading many pioneering researchers' research article only, you can write. There, if you start applying your interdisciplinary capability, lot of new things will evolve. If you have wisdom in different areas of research, then the inferences will come in different dimensions. That will enhance the quality of research article. There only whatever you have done, if it is accepted in some Q4 journal, by writing something, some interdisciplinary knowledge, wisdom, if you give importance, that you can bring it to Q1 journal. That I think many of you, all of you know what is Q1, Q2, what I am referring. Okay, so then you should come to conclusion part. In the conclusion part, some 3 pages only you need to write. Don't write the results and discussion again here. Very impactful results you can give in the conclusion. Very impactful result. But all the results which are known to, okay, known results also you have to write in the results. But in the discussion part, you would have written something. But what is the takeaway to the others? That part only you need to write. That then that conclusion will be very impactful. In the conclusion part, some maximum some 5 to 6 pages you write. That pages, some important results, and what is the takeaway you want to tell to the readers or examiner. So some 3 or 4 major points only will be there. That one you, with a lot of evidence, you need to give. These are the takeaways. Why this is, why, how it is. All those things you can write. But that points, then that there only you are making a difference, uniqueness, novelty. Everything in the conclusion part you are bringing the novelty. Okay, that you can also tell this is the novelty of this present research, uniqueness of this present research. Okay, at the end of the conclusion, you can also write some scope for furthering research. Scope for furthering research, because any research, if you start doing, you cannot complete everything. After you complete only, there will be lot of openings will come. You may require even 10 years or 15 years to complete that research. But all those things you should write it as a scope for your future research scholars. Okay, so those things also you should write. What all the, at the end of the research, what all you find out as scope. So that scopes to be summarized in the end of the conclusion chapter. Okay, now I think I have taken much time. Can I proceed Madam, can I proceed how to write the patents?
Yes, sir.
Or can I give it in some other session?
Please, sir, just give a brief outline to our participants, sir. It will be much useful. Of course, we have the experts also talking, but please give us a brief outline, sir.
Okay.
The next speaker is also waiting, sir. So
Okay. So I will take another 5 to 10 minutes. Later, I will give in elaborately how to win get the patent, get awarded. Okay, patent. Okay, this is about writing the thesis. Then how to submit your patent application. Don't think that a patent means it is something new, very novel, highly, very useful things. Making patent is very easy, but making patent in your research, sometimes it is difficult. Okay, but allied field, when you start doing your research, now that's what I'm telling. The maximum, the invention, even to attract a Q1 journal, it is difficult, no? But that kind of difficulty will not be there in patent. That patent requires one small difference you should make in the conventional things. Small difference. Your research journey may be in one direction. But the research journey, you should apply your mind in always. If it is there in your mind, then different things you can help to the society or industry or government or whoever it may be, for even for some small kids, in an efficient way from your research outcome. That research outcome means it's not the final outcome. Some small things you can improve this using your research concepts somewhere here. Those things, if you start applying, there is a potential for product development. There is a potential for product development. Small things only. So those things, if you start converting into patent, it is very, very easy. Don't think your outcome, which is much more than what is the novelty, uniqueness of your end of for the final research. That if you start, that also you can do, but it is a pioneering research, and that one, when you try to make as a patent, it will take lot of time, because the patent, the people who are in the patent office also, they have to understand what you are going to tell. They are mostly, those people are not researchers, that they will not appreciate it very easily. Understand? You should know the customer who is going to evaluate that. They are patent, the people who are evaluating the patent, they can understand anything, because after they start evaluating many things, their knowledge level will increase. They have lot of wisdom. Okay, but anything new research, even I have found out very lot of difficulty in any new field. Getting projects also difficult, because very novel means the other people will not appreciate the importance of that. They will not know at that point of time. Okay, but if it is useful to lot of people, means immediately acceptance will come. Useful to lot of people, but that is not still prevailing. That kind of things, lakhs of things are available in the, you can make a difference. So for which I suggest, if you start attending the patent drafting course, or you can attend also lecture which are available nowadays. Everything is available in the website. Everything is given by the experts. So one expert, when he tells how to make, he will give some examples. Mostly during these lectures, they will give some example, small example. Okay, then only you will think, okay, when these things are made as a patent, we can make lot of patents. That feel you will get. Okay, so what all the things to be patented? If you start seeing some patent lecture given by the patent experts, then you will appreciate that you can also every month you can register one patent very easily, because new things. If you start seeing the agricultural farmers, what they are suffering, with your knowledge, what you can help, then that will be converted into a device. If you start working on that, then who all required to convert that into products, some mechanics, some instrument people, So those things, if you start applying that, you can make it as a patent very easily. Some small things also you can do it. So final outcome, and that outcome, that is also, it's a important thing for any new novel things which will be in the scientific basis. If you do, that is also patent, but it's a very difficult, but very easily you can get patent from the derived research. From your research, if you look in societal perspective, lot of new things will evolve. Those things, making patent is very easy. Okay, now how to register for patent? In that okay, it's better you attend one patent class, or you listen so then you will know it is very easy to. Don't think that patent means it is only the patent attorney or the consultant only can write. They will ask some questions. You yourself can write. I have registered some 10 patents, all that registered patents, like how I write journal paper, the same way I myself have written. But some 3 patents now got granted. Then you will know how to write what, because then in the anywhere you can argue, some examination will be there in the later stage. You can argue one patent which was rejected then I asked for how it can be rejected. Then in the next, there was an examination. Then I got it granted very next day. So like that, when you yourself is involved, then finally, okay, there is a novelty means you can argue and get it. But sometimes time will not be available to argue and get it. Then you can approach consultant, or now Anna University itself, all the research scholars, Anna University itself will be helping. There is a patent office there. If you go, how to write that is to submit the patent application, what all the things you have to write, all those things. If you give, then they will write, and after that you can verify. When you verify whether they have given everything, whatever you want, then that you can check it and then you submit. Definitely, every individual can make registered patent. I'm sure those who have come to the level of registering for PhD, you can invent. This is invention. That is registering patent is very easy. All those things, if you focus on that, you will get at least 2 patents during your research time. Okay, patent, it is not the final outcome of your research. Looking towards the society and what is the society required, what you can contribute from your research direction, what you can contribute for the societal requirement, and which can be converted into product. If you start looking, that lot of things will come every day, and some of the things which you feel which will take commercial stage, that you register as patent. Okay, then research focus also will be there, that if it gets patented, then that also you can use it for what is that, for submission of thesis. One of my scholar, before she gets one of her paper gets published, her patent got awarded. Based on that, she submitted the thesis. Okay, so like that, now one patent granted also, you can use it to submit your thesis. So initially itself, if you get different ideas, but that patent also should be in some derived component of your research. Okay, some derived component, some totally not relevant to the field of your research, then that will not be considered for submission. Okay, that is useful for your patent. But for consideration of thesis submission, you need to submit at least one journal in the listed by Director Research Office, or one patent to be awarded. So I think you all have got some little ideas how to register patent. Later, if I get time, I will give you the tips how to win the patent getting granted. Lot of tips I can give, but it requires little extensive time. Later, some other opportunity if I get, I will make it, and those videos also, if you happen to see, I will make it. How to write a research article, how to win research funding, how to get the patent awarded, all those things I want to give it to our research scholars. and faculty members. In the coming days, I will make these lectures also. Okay, thank you. All the best to all the research scholars, and congratulations to the Director Research and all Deputy Directors for the wonderful event you have organized. Thank you.